Okay, calling to order the meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. It's a little after 7:15 PM. We're on Thursday, March 19th, 2015, at the Littleton Town Offices, Room 103 at 37 Shattuck Street, Littleton, Massachusetts. According to the agenda, the first thing is to take care of administrative matters, minutes, accounts payable, and correspondence. So there is in the mail a Advanced Tools and Techniques for Planning and Zoning, a 14th Annual Conference with CPTC. And I read this one when it came through my email, and there's only one or two sessions that might be of interest to board members, and if you want to go, I'm going to pass this around.
What's the date on that?
In the past, sorry, I can't see it.
Yeah, this
March 21st, Saturday, March 21st.
That's this weekend, right?
That's this weekend. So usually special permits and variances, vested rights and non-conforming structures and uses, those are usually the timely items that are informative for this board. This is short notice for everyone. Frequently, Bill will get a handle on the materials that are passed out and share them with us.
If I was available on Saturday, I would have already signed up for that. That is at Holy Cross, is an all-day event. They have 2 or 3 sessions in the morning. They break for lunch. Lunch is included. They have 2 or 3 sessions in the afternoon. You pick at different times as to which session you want to go to. Some sessions may run to 2 different back-to-back sessions. But the ones that Sherry just mentioned and everything else are very important. You get a lot of updates and everything else. Find out with the discussion how do other boards deal with the same situation. And the presenters on both of those are very, very good. They're well-versed and well-recognized.
Welcome. So I'll pass that around if anyone wants to see it and make a decision about going. When those come up again in the future, we'll send them out earlier, and people can elect to go maybe about once a year. We try to get a couple of us to go together, and sometimes we even get the town to pay for it. So it's not very much, though.
Right?
There's money.
Yeah, and Shelley, you sent out an email
Yep.
on it.
So the next time it comes around, maybe 2 of us can, or 2 or more can go
Well,
together and do it.
that particular seminar comes up once a year, but there are other ones that are in different locations around the state that, you know, sometimes it's out like Mount Wachusett up in Gardner or somewhere, and they're very informative.
Okay. Moving on to the next item. Last meeting, the board nominated a subcommittee to work on a zoning bylaw change. We passed,
That's going to be down here. Just 2 minutes.
okay. All right. I don't think we need to wait until 8:15 for the report, though. That's an internal.
Yeah,
not like
but I
it's
think we get enough to do
noticed.
before we get started. and
Okay.
That's going to take a few minutes.
Okay, so let's do minutes. And I don't think that I got this back to you.
You didn't need
Bill gave me.
Bill gave it to you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, I
a
gave it.
copy
That's why I
of
made a
your
copy and
changes
gave
and
you.
his changes.
And, no, then it's been, it should be in your
I sent the
package.
draft
Okay.
out or something.
Marked
I'm like,
amended.
holy moly.
Okay. So, we have to go back to that, well, we're supposed to go back to that set of minutes, but I know Cheryl had some comments to that, and she's not here today. So it's a pretty lengthy set of minutes. That's August 21, 2014. We're very close to having it in form for approval, but I think I would like to postpone on that particular set of minutes to let Cheryl weigh in at the next meeting. So can you all please try to read the August 21st minutes by then? It was a lengthy meeting, and there was a lot of substance in it, so I've revised it, and Bill has revised it, and we should all participate in that.
And, yeah, you should read the amended version, not the previous versions you got, because there are major reconfiguration, grammar, whatever else that's in there.
Okay, we also had another set of minutes from, were they January's?
October.
We didn't do October yet?
I don't believe so.
My packet is missing it, so let me see.
Well, that's the one I have marked with,
Which ones did you just send out for this meeting?
August.
August, the only one that we got.
Okay. So you have October's we need to revise?
Yep.
Okay, let's go with those. Go ahead.
Down before the 7:30, the first statement, which starts, William Farnsworth stated that the application needs to be revised, and we're talking about the ZBA application for petitions. On the very last thing, it says, insert a line with brief description, and that, sure, Shelley, that was a note to yourself, but somehow we need something to clarify that. And I had in there that was going to be reviewed by Chair Gould.
You can just take a, that's all right, you can just take out that last insert a line with brief description, and that's fine. Okay, go ahead.
All right, going down to the first case hearing at 8 Blood Road, going down 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. The sentence starts, the proposal is for a garage as shown on the plot plan submitted, which leaves, it says only a 4-foot offset, but that should be changed to, the plot plan submitted, which leaves encroachment into side setback. Thus, change petition, request variance from 15-foot setback. Next paragraph down, second line, close to the lot line, a grade change would be impacted. The concern is that might not be your property.
Petitioner's property.
Okay, petitioner's property. Not convinced that you take away a grade.
So,
Yeah.
so it should say, a 15-foot wide structure would be so close to the lot line and a grade change would be impacted, period. The concern is that it might not be petitioner's property, and the grade change might affect the neighbor. That's all, period.
Okay. Page 2. Down the first major paragraph, the last sentence, Patrick Joyce suggested buying a sliver, add the owner to buy a sliver.
It's not suggested isn't right.
Okay.
Patrick Joyce inquired whether the owner could buy a sliver.
Down for the 8 o'clock hearing, the second paragraph. Chair Gould read the building inspector's comments in a letter from abutter. Ms. Martino asked for clarification on the definition of a functional dependent.
That's fine. Ms. Martino asked for clarification on the definition of functionally dependent. Just take the A out of there. That's in our bylaws. She just wanted
Yep,
to know what it
right.
meant.
Next one down, it was moved by Cheryl Hollinger to grant the special permit under section 173-58, because you
Yeah.
don't do permits.
Or
from.
pursuant to, yeah.
Yeah, or pursuant, yes. Pursuant to section 173-58. And next page, 4 Dogwood. In this, the second line, present the petition requesting a special permit, again pursuant to. Section 173, okay. Next paragraph now, William Farnsworth reviewed the lot
You're going to say reviewed the existing nonconformities.
Reviewed the, yep,
Existing
non-conforming.
nonconformities.
Okay. Down on the motion, again, change from to pursuant to section. Down 8:20 PM, Chair Gruel commented to board members that it is unfair to the petitioner to abstain, yada, yada. Okay, next statement is John Cantino wondered if the board members are opposed if the proposal was just a garage. Then it jumps down and said it was moved by John Cantino to reopen the hearing. I think there needs to be an explanation in there as to why to reopen.
Oh, excuse me. I'm
And
sorry.
I didn't have my notes to look at why. But I think there needs to be a connection in there somewhere.
Can I just go back to my comment about, sorry about this.
Yep.
My comment, when I commented that it's unfair to the petitioner to abstain, and board members should vote yea or nay. I wasn't trying to
Commented to
pressure
the
anyone
board.
to vote one way or
Right.
another, I just wanted everyone to vote. Okay?
All right. And the last page. Some pushback on selling an easement would preclude a house from being that close to property, then move to continue the hearing. Yeah,
This
I
was the
don't-
same one, this is Blood Road?
Yeah,
This is Blood Road. Whose hearing did they want to reopen?
oh, it reopened to 8:23 PM.
What, did we send them out to give them a chance to talk about it and come back, I think is what we did. We didn't have anything in between there, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think we
Okay.
just asked them to think about it and see if there was anything they could do and come back in. I'm not even sure you need that in there, because we probably just gave them a minute to go talk. They started at
Oh, okay,
8:20.
we did the deliberation, then we had to reopen it because they came in after,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it was moved by John Cantino to reopen the hearing for additional information. That's all, okay? Or additional questions, let's say for additional questions.
Okay.
And then we talked about whether they could get an easement on the next page, so let's do that.
okay.
It says,
So they came back and they requested a continuation.
so, all this at the end doesn't, Attorney Caton stated that they can continue to talk with the abutter with the possibility of approaching him to come to agreement about an easement or property swap, and asked for a continuance, and then leave all the rest out.
Yep.
Okay on that? Take a motion to approve minutes as amended?
Anybody else have any change? Okay, make the motion, we approve the minutes of October 16, 2014 as amended.
Second?
Second.
1, 2, 3, 4, we actually need, Alan, you seconded, you're
Okay.
voting. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. So we got one set of minutes done. It's
We
now
had
7.
lots of them, but then my computer crashed.
Oh.
Isn't that the
Do
way?
I have them then, don't I? Did you send them?
No, I hadn't printed them out,
Oh,
and I tried to fix it myself. It didn't work well.
that was your
You'll have
laptop.
them
You
for the
said
next
you knew it was
meeting.
going to happen, and you didn't back up. Okay, the time is 7:30-ish. And we have a continued hearing on case number 846A, Viewpoint Sign and Awning.
Nope, nope.
continued hearing first for the 7:20 scheduled continued hearing on case number 845A of 225 Great Road LLC, request for a variance under section 17326 use regulations schedule to allow the use of a residentially zoned land for uses accessory to the retail car dealership at 221 Great Road. This was an application by Acton Toyota. Acton Toyota has land abutting its Toyota dealership, which is zoned residentially. The land is on Great Road, and they had initially requested a variance to be allowed to use some of that land for parking vehicles, which would be accessory to the commercial use. At our last meeting, there were abutters and other people in town who had who were wanting to be heard, and the applicant chose to request that the hearing be opened only for the purpose of continuing it, not for receiving any facts or testimony, while the applicant met or tried to meet with the selectmen and the planning board to see if they could fashion a solution that would be more in keeping with the process than trying to do this by a special permit through the zoning board of appeals. The meeting was then continued for 2 months for that purpose, and very recently, on January, where's the letter? March 17th, 2015. Could I say that for a minute? On March 17th, 2015, the applicant wrote a letter to this board requesting that they be allowed to withdraw the petition pending before this board, their application for special permit, withdraw it without prejudice. That means they don't want us to open the hearing for testimony, and they don't want us to proceed any further with this particular application, and they write the following letter. Please accept this letter regarding our application dated December 9th, 2014, submitted on behalf of 225 Great Road LLC, the owner of property at 221, a.k.a. 225 Great Road and 235 Great Road, Littleton. Most recently, the public hearing was continued until March 19th, 2015. In the intervening period, we have not been able to meet with the various parties who have expressed initial concerns regarding our proposal, nor have we been able to significantly redesign the proposed storage area. Our client would like to resolve all concerns in advance and/or see if there is a more comprehensive plan forthcoming for some of the nearby properties. To do so could take some time, therefore, so on behalf of our client, please accept this as a request that our client be permitted to withdraw the application without prejudice. Hopefully, this can be accomplished without the need to make an appearance before the board on Thursday. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, withdrawing without prejudice simply means that there's no harm, no foul. They can come back and present this petition at another date. They would have to submit a new filing fee and a new application. We normally request the presence of the applicant to take this course of action, but in this instance, they were represented by counsel who is sophisticated, and we had enough advance notice to post it. My concern was that if there were abutters here who had come on the basis of expecting to be heard, I wanted them to have an arena in which to be heard, but there was enough notice to post this request for withdrawal, and I see no abutters in the room for the Great Road property. So I am recommending to the board that we vote on this without the applicant being present.
All right.
At the last
Back
hearing,
in January 15th.
yeah,
The school, myself, Jeff, Carol, and Rod were the voting members.
okay.
We have 4 of the 5 tonight. We need to add 1 more person.
Okay, so we need, Sherry, Bill, Jeff, and Rod are voting on this, and we're going to add Jeff and
Alan and,
Rod. And you're recused,
Alan and Patrick were the other 2 members that were present.
so it's got to be Patrick, because you were here last time, okay? So now we have 5 members to vote on this. I'll accept a motion to allow the withdrawal without
Madam
prejudice.
Chair,
Sir,
I make the motion that we accept the request to withdraw without prejudice on the petition of 225 Great Road LLC, case number 846A.
It's 845A. It's 845A.
Okay, well, it's printed wrong in here. Okay, case 845A.
No, that's it. Great Red Owl says 845A. You're reading the viewpoint, so.
All right,
Okay, 845A.
845A. That's it.
Second?
Second.
You're right, okay. Rod seconded it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, okay. The case is withdrawn without prejudice. Okay, now am I caught up to myself? Now it's 7:40, and I'm going to call the 7:30 PM continued hearing of case number 846A, case of Viewpoint Sign and Awning, request for a variance under section 173-35C1 for a proposed sign at 37 Air Road, Littleton, Mass. There were also, the members on this hearing that have been here continually were Sherry, Bill, Jeff,
Point, okay.
Sherry, Bill,
Well,
Jeff, Alan. Sherry, Bill, Jeff, Alan.
Alan.
And we're going to put Patrick on this one because he came down and looked at the sign today. And he's been here throughout, right?
Yep.
Okay, so, Patrick, you're an alternate, and Alan, you're an alternate. Go ahead, please.
Okay, Mike Force from Viewpoint Sign and Awning, here to petition the board for a variance for a monument sign at 37 Air Road. Based on our last meeting, from the board, the thought was that the sign was actually too large from a horizontal standpoint. It was about 10 feet in width. And the feeling was that more of a vertical sign would be acceptable. So we redesigned the sign to be 10 feet tall by 6 feet wide. Obviously has a smaller footprint. And we did do a mock-up that we put up, and I do have some pictures here. We've had it up for a couple days, hopefully the wind is.
no, it's still up.
Still up good.
It's still up.
You were worried.
Why are you going to make them pay for the expensive one? That one looks fine to me.
So anyway, yeah, and we did, it's a double-sided sign. And it's actually the square footage is about 7 square feet less than the one we had proposed the last. And all the type height is a little smaller, but it's really insignificant based on where the sign is located on the property.
Okay, board members, any questions, any comments? Who saw it?
Good.
Okay, if you saw it, I'd like to hear from you whether or not you're voting. So let's start at this end. John?
Am I voting on this, though?
No, you're not voting, but I'd like to hear your comments after seeing it.
I don't have a problem with it. Is it going back in the old place where the other sign is now?
It's, no, it's
Is it
where
staying
where
right
it
where it
is, yeah, yes, we're moving it, I believe it's 17 feet from the road where it's positioned, but that's where we plan on putting it.
The only thing I would say, and you're probably gonna do it anyways, is because the way it's done underneath, is there gonna be like a base, a plan?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Do you have the final?
These are, and I still, these are preliminary,
okay.
we're gonna put some landscaping around, we're doing a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, there will
okay,
be a little
all right.
base, yeah. I mean, just so,
That's
in case it does snow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the other sign will be, obviously would be removed at that time.
Bill?
Yeah, I saw it, and right away I was like, wow, it's big. And I went back and I took a look at what we had
Initially,
looked at
the first
before and
one, yeah.
everything else. It's basically take the same sign, just laying it down. You know, I can understand why you need one that size. The lettering really stands out.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be missed too much. I also, though, compared it to some of the signs further down the road in front of Fever and down by, Distribution Way. Not knowing exactly the size of those and everything else, I think it kind of, might be a little bit bigger, but it kind of fits the same
Intent?
as the other signs being upright.
Right.
I feel that, the sign could have been smaller and it's still done the same thing. There was a suggestion that was made at the last hearing about taking the address off and putting it on the
Right.
post, but, whatever else, but, that's kind of like, we're not here to help design the sign for you, so I don't think there was any way of getting it down to 50 feet or under, so
It would-
whether it's from 50 feet to 63 or 50 feet to 55, I don't think makes any difference, so.
Could you tell me what the overall size is right now, please?
It's 10 feet tall by 6 feet wide.
So it's 60,
I think it may be, well, I'm sorry, 10 foot 6
10.6 by 6.
tall, yeah.
Okay.
63, got 63 square.
Okay, did you say you saw it? Do you want to speak?
No, I
to
saw
it?
the other ones. Before they put this up, I went and looked at the other ones to see kind of what the scale was, and it does seem, from looking at this and looking at the size here, it does look big to me. The thing that got me, and I don't know if I'd vote against it, but I'm just saying, it seemed to me that as I looked at it and I said, what are you really drawn to as you're driving down, right? What you're really drawn to is the name of the place and the address, right? So you don't really need to see the name of the companies, from 50 yards away, right? You really need to see the address. When once you get there, it kind of confirms by the fact that you now have the company names. So I think you could probably get away with a smaller sign and still be effective if you really highlighted the address and the technology center aspect of it. But it does seem large to me. But that's what I'm thinking.
Right.
Well, I did just what Bill did, He said, whoa, but because it was so tall, I thought, my God, that looks so tall. And looking at these two, I like the looks of the landscape one better, even if it's bigger. Somehow it just blends in better, and the height just kind of.
The wider one.
Loop a little bit.
The
Yeah,
wider one, you said.
yeah.
Mark,
I'm not a voting member.
but you drove by, and I want to
Yeah,
make
I would say my first thing was, wow, that's tall. So, yeah, that was the first thing that hit me, and I remember thinking, gee, maybe it would be better the other way.
Patrick?
I sort of like the sign. I was just wondering, were they gonna remove the sign that's there now?
They would, yes. Yes, yeah. Yeah, it's an old wooden sign. It's really starting to show its age.
I'd like to make a couple of comments, and I know a lot of people don't like my attitude about this, but I have a strong attitude about signs. The signs are so subjective. You have a board here, and I just demonstrated, I like the tall one, I like the wide one, I like the fat one, I like the skinny one, I like bigger letters, I like smaller letters, I don't want to see the businesses on it. Being a business, I want my business on it. And I, for one, would like to apologize to the owner of this company because I, for one, never intended that he would have to spend the money for you to actually create a mock-up on vinyl of everything we wanted to see. And I think that was very unfair for the board to do to the owner because that was very expensive. I wanted to see the size and I wanted to see the lettering, but you, to your credit, went above and beyond and gave this board exactly what they asked you for, and I think that was above and beyond what we needed and what we asked anybody for. When all was said and done, I don't care either way. I went from the east toward the west with Patrick, and we were chatting, and I never even saw it. It didn't jump out at me. When we got on it and I realized, oh, we're here, I'm looking for it, then it looked big to me. Then we pulled in and came from the other direction when we turned around, and it didn't look big from that direction. And then I looked back over my shoulder, and the tree is there, and it's tasteful, and it blends in, and it doesn't stand out really. And I agree, if you go up the street, it's no better or no worse than anything up the street. I do believe in the industrial zone on 2A with the speed that the traffic is going and the traffic that's coming, which are usually all large trucks. I believe you need, and you have established the hardship to do a sign bigger than 50 square feet. I agree with the others. I liked the bigger, wider one better than the tall one. I think it will stand up better in a snowstorm and a windstorm too, but that's, again, personal preference.
Sure.
And I don't know if the board wants to go back and say, and if it matters, I mean, the wide one is nicer to me. It is more in keeping with what we've been looking for coming down that road, a lower profile, so you don't have the sign risk blocking the oncoming traffic or the traffic entering or exiting the place. I think it blends into the landscape better with the contours of the land, so that's my 2 cents, yeah.
Yeah, one thing, and I had the same thought and everything else. In fact, I even took all this information, went back, made it a landscape type sign based on what you had before, and looked at it. Well, you were asking for before is 9 foot high, this is 11'6". So what you're gonna gain is like just 2 feet off, 2.5 feet off the top. And like I said, you could actually get the sign down to 55 square feet rather than 63, but it's still, I don't think, for what you're trying to achieve, you can get it down to 50 square feet. So, yeah, I like the other one better, but, who are we to,
Well, it is our choice. I mean, if the applicant is prepared to give us either, it is our choice, and I like the other one better personally. I think most of our boards said the same.
I mean, we could try to keep it, I mean, we got this at 63 square feet. The other one was 70 square feet. Maybe, we could redo this on a horizontal plane format at 63 square feet.
That's what I would prefer.
Basically turning it over to the side. I mean, the type may be a little small, but it would still be a fairly significant.
if you turn it over and just have on the top line, the Littleton Technology Center.
Right.
Take out the address
We
and put
could
it down
put
the
it on
post,
top.
because then you can save.
I
on the-
don't want you to micromanage
Okay.
the sign design guy's sign. I
No, but
don't
we-
want to do that here.
Well, I'm
But-
trying to get it so we don't have to keep going back and forth, back and forth, back
We
and forth.
don't have to go back and forth. He's offering to do a sign that is 63 square
63
feet on
square
the
feet on a
horizontal instead of
horizontal.
on the vertical. And I like that proposal.
We can send it to you for review.
No, we're going
So just go with
we're
it.
going to vote
on
on
it.
tonight.
Okay.
I've been here 3 times, that's plenty.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I like coming back, yeah.
And I personally like what you chose. I just did a sign at my office I hate, and it was a lot of money, and I sort of fault the sign guy for not steering me better, because you don't know what signs are gonna look like till you're done with it, but I like the 37 on the sign. I like the businesses on the sign. If I'm driving along and I'm looking for, what is it, Atlantic Rubber,
Correct. And that was the primary purpose.
I
of
want to
this,
see the
was to get-
sign, yeah, I want to see the name.
Get the business names
So-
up front.
My preference would be to have a motion that says they're entitled to the variance at, whatever, 63
63 square feet.
square feet, and want to just, let's just, do you want to limit the height, and that way we steer them to the horizontal? Do you want to do that?
Sure, we can probably do it. If we're going to keep it 63 square feet, it would probably be 6.5 feet tall.
Make
Maybe
sure that's-
So
9,
you were
yeah.
proposing
Yeah.
9, being like,
But we can just kind of, if we can,
Well, let's just say no greater than 9. You decide. Let's just say no greater than 9, yeah.
Yeah, I like the horizontal also. The problem you're going to have though is because instead of having all the names top to bottom, they're side by side.
we'll have to run 2 rows, yes.
yeah.
But some of these are pretty long names.
Right.
So to fit them side by side, he's gonna have to shrink the
But-
lettering so
but-
small you won't be able to read them.
But what he has right now is based on the longest size sign or company that they have out there. If you look at what's up here,
Yeah.
the longest one is the White Mountain, and that determines basically the width.
Yeah.
So I know what you're saying, and I have the same thought.
And I want to go back to what Alan said about, if someone's searching for this bill, they're going to be looking for the address, which is prominent. And the secondary thing is the actual businesses located there. I mean, if you're looking for a business, you're going to know the address.
Well, but in regards to the address, and I've got over 20 years of experience dealing with this. In fact, I dealt with Viewpoint Signs, even when they moved into their current location. If you put the address of 37 Air Road down the post, it is much more prominent. And a lot of times, emergency service people like to see it separated because they're picking up, or UPS or anybody else trying to look for it. Seeing it on the side is much more prominent than trying to find it in the mix of all the other lettering.
I mean, we could even put it on top.
Mark,
which is what you showed.
Yeah.
Mark, the
All by
width,
itself.
the width of the vertical sign is 67 inches, the panels, and the width of
The previous one.
the horizontal is 12 feet, so it's not very much that he has
Oh,
to bring it down, really.
We can do it in less than 12 feet.
Yeah, okay. So who wants to make a motion?
So
And I
what height-
appreciate,
what
What
height
what
did
are we
we
doing
want?
for,
what's that?
What height did we want?
No,
to
not
exceed?
to exceed 9, that was his original horizontal proposal.
before we get to a motion or anything else, let's, because, no, we haven't stated it tonight, I know we've stated it in the past, but let's clarify what's the uniqueness of the site and what's the hardship.
Okay, I think we had it in the prior hearing. We did establish it in the prior hearing, and it's in the minutes, and I have it in my notes at home.
Okay.
It was the speed of traffic on the road, it was the quick change from the zones, I think he goes right from residential into industrial. It's the
The distance the building setback.
distance, the building setback.
Okay.
So I think we established that already.
Okay,
Thank you.
and what conditions do we want to do? Height not to exceed 9 feet, is that what you
Yeah.
said? Anything else?
63 square feet.
63 square foot.
External, I mean, he's proposing the external illumination, but that's what we wanted.
And you want the landscape base.
Do we want to say landscape orientation?
In terms of,
Oh, in terms of the,
Land-
whether it's vertical or
Landscape
horizontal?
portrait.
I think he's got to do,
Yeah.
he's got to
Probably,
do
he pretty much
horizontal, if
has
we
to.
could bring him down to 63 feet, I mean to 9 feet. Okay,
Are we going to, no, condition it to external illumination
yep,
and landscape base?
yep.
As presented on the plans.
Yes.
And what's the latest date in this?
Well, I think we should have the plan.
2/17/15 is that latest date on this?
Yes, yes.
This is, wait, this is the one you want, because you don't want the vertical, you want this one.
Okay,
So what's the date on this?
217 on this one. Yeah, not the-
I think you want a site plan,
This one's 221.
the base is.
yeah, 2/17/15, okay.
All right. We ready?
No, I gotta get the paper I'm working on, because I'll be writing this, right? Lost it already.
You can always get the notes from
So,
Shelley.
I got it. Got
I
it,
always get the notes from Shelley.
I got it.
All right. I make the motion that we approve and grant a variance to 37 Air Road for a sign not to exceed 63 square feet, not to exceed a height, 9 foot, 0 inches in height, to have external illumination and a landscape base as presented on the plan submitted by Viewpoint Sign and Awning Company, dated, last revision date, 02.17.15.
Second, please?
You might want to make reference that the dimensions would be smaller than shown on the
What?
plan. The dimensions would be smaller than shown on that plan, if this is the one you're referencing.
Well, he said 63 square.
Yeah.
63 square feet.
I'll second that.
Second by Alan.
Okay.
Yes, I've got Patrick and Alan as the voting alternates. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you very much.
Thank you for all of your work.
Thank you.
Okay, I need to just take a poll of what applications I have in the room, because we're running a little bit late, and I want to inconvenience the fewest number of people. So, the next two hearings that are both scheduled for now would be 6 Whitcomb Ave, can I just see who's my applicant there, and do I have anybody in the room on that hearing? Okay? And the next one I have is 20 Washington Drive, I've got the applicants in the room. Do I have anyone else in the room on 20 Washington Drive? Okay, and then I have 94 Goldsmith, that's you. And, am I missing something? Who's in back? Are you people here on,
On the 94 Goldsmith Street, got some questions about it.
okay, so all of you in the back are on 94 Goldsmith. We're not up to you yet, so you're going to have the longest wait. Sorry about that. Okay, if it's,
Carrie, can I just ask a quick
Yes.
question before we go further? Who's writing the decision for this last?
I will.
Okay.
Don't forget to nag me. Okay. What do you want to do in terms of order?
Your choice.
I think we should take the Coleman Magern next, and you'll be right afterwards. Okay? Case number 849A, I'll open the hearing, 7:30 hearing of case number 849A, which is Joni Coleman and Francis McGurn for a special permit or a variance from section 17310B to allow a change, extension, or alteration to a pre-existing non-conforming dwelling at 6 Whitcomb Avenue in Littleton. And before you begin, I have some,
I just want to bring up to the board that these two are close friends of mine, and if the board wishes, I will recuse myself. But otherwise, I think I can deal dispassionately with the issue.
If there's no material interest, I don't know.
No, there's no material.
anybody on the board have an issue with that?
Coach their kids, but other than that.
You coached their kids. I was
They're
gonna
no longer
I was gonna make you the voting alternate. No, we've decided in this small town that we all know somebody. Right. So we have
more
to
than
be.
others.
And Mark, I'm gonna make you the voting alternate on this one, because on the others, because it's nice to have you here. Okay. On the others, we kind of have a
This is that
history.
many meetings.
Okay. So what we do is have you present your case. We'll then have the board ask questions, and we'll see if there's anybody in the room that has any questions, and then we'll
We have a-
discuss it. So go ahead.
So we would like to replace an existing, the landing and our front steps, make it a little bit wider. So right now, we have nonconformity of the setback in the front of our house is 26 feet, setback's 30. The landing right now is 4.5 feet, we'd just like to make it 6 feet, so it's 1.5 feet closer to the road. The structure itself doesn't get altered at all, it's basically the steps and what you step up onto. And I have-
How is your property non-conforming now, please?
It's 26 feet, the setback in the front, and 30 is the lot.
And are the houses either side of you closer or more distant from the street than yours?
The one next door, I believe, is 30, and that's the only one around.
And your lot is a full acre?
It's 3/4.
So your lot is non-conforming? I'm not seeing the plan here, am I missing it?
Do you have the
This is
one
the best I
that,
have.
the other latest markup?
I have one, do you want it? Do you
Yes,
want this?
please, yes, please. I
Yeah,
don't
but there
see it
was
in the
one
file.
that,
This one, Bill?
the one that Roland marked on with his
Oh,
comment.
Bill, that's in that green folder right in front of you, under the viewpoint picture.
here?
In that top building permit,
All
that's
right.
part of that building permit.
So what I'm seeing is,
Okay.
from
if-
Whitcomb Avenue,
Right. This is the building department file, and there was a clarification on the 26 feet,
yep,
okay? That 26 feet, and there is a, I'm looking at site plan. That has been marked in here, setback allowed, intensity of use schedule, footnote number 8. If you go to the bylaw,
intensity uses in the back of the book,
right, number 8.
and footnote number 8 says,
Okay, it
if
says,
more than one street abuts the lot, then the additional street setback may be reduced 1 foot for every 2,000 square feet under 40,000 square feet of lot area but to not less than 15 feet.
Okay, and your lot area is
32,000?
31 and change.
Okay.
Okay, which says that if you go by what's in the bylaw, you can reduce 4 feet. So that's why on here, that is 26 feet. So that when the addition on the left side was approved, the building official approved it because you were within the 26 feet. But the thing is, there's a provision in our bylaw that says, if you're not increasing a nonconformity, which it's not, because, and it's not creating new nonconformity, the building inspector can go ahead and issue the building permit, which he has done. He has so noted in a note to us. But with this, is that because the lot is undersized, it is a non-conforming structure. Getting back to your porch sticking out here, does encroach into that 26-foot setback. That's your non-conformity there. And it's just increasing that non-conformity from 4.5 feet to 6 feet.
Wait, there's a problem, and that is what you said all about the lesser setback because of two streets?
Yes.
It says the additional street setback. It doesn't say the main street setback.
Taylor Street is the additional street.
Yeah, so the setback to Taylor Street can be 15. That doesn't mean the setback to, can be as little as 15. That does not mean the setback to Whitcomb, which is their frontage. So we do have to do this as a change, extension, or alteration of a pre-existing nonconformity.
Okay, it would still be, because of this, sits more
Yeah,
into the 26
yeah,
feet.
okay. So, what you're seeking to do is to just change stairs that come out 4'6" to a porch,
6.
maybe a covered porch, to
Right.
6'6", 2 extra feet.
No, just 6. Does it say 6'6"?
No, I'm sorry, the width is 6'6".
Yeah,
So you're really talking about
a foot and a half.
a foot and a half
Yeah.
more of the existing nonconformity, and so your new setback is going to be 24 and a half. And,
There's a jog there, I mean,
20,
it's not flush with that, so
Oh,
there's
no,
some
it's
kind of
not
a, it's a little less, right? I think, according to the plan. It's not flush with that, with this
this
edge
isn't,
here.
this isn't where she's putting the porch, she's putting it back here?
I think so. This
Can
is
you tell
right
us?
here.
Yeah.
This right here.
So it's going on,
Here.
this building isn't here. This was done prior to that addition that Roland had put notice about. We have this little porch is gone. We have an addition on the side of the house here, which comes to about 6 inches set back further from the main building. Yeah, yeah, this
This
is,
one is a little bit
so
different.
this little box replaces this, and it comes a little closer to the street.
You're really talking about 1 foot, though. If you got 6 inches here, and you're going for a foot and a half,
Right, yeah.
you're really 1 foot difference is what
Yeah.
you're asking for.
Yeah.
But that doesn't help me, just one second. This to the street is 26 feet.
Right.
What's this to the street going to be? Can you just tell me that?
22 feet.
I think this is misleading.
It's 22
This,
feet.
the actual existing structure is further back than 26 feet. The 26 feet is the allowed setback.
Yes.
Yeah, if you looked
I
at,
thought 30 was the allowed.
30 is
No,
the
no, no.
allowed.
Well,
on
26
here.
feet with this reduced.
Setback is 26, and the
Yeah.
house is further back than the
Yeah.
setback.
So I think the existing porch was built to the setback.
yeah, look at this drawing.
This is further back a little bit, too.
Oh, see, this is actually better.
So you're then-
Yeah, but,
This is better, this is more.
Mister, I want to see detailed plans. I know they're friends of yours, but this does not show me
How
the
about this
setback.
So, this is the 26-foot setback, this is the front of this is the house as it is today. This is the little steps, and then I just want to make it come out to there.
What's going to be the setback when you do your porch? From here to the street is going to be what?
I don't know, because this is the street out here.
And what's this
Not the
26?
street to the
Okay,
property line.
26 is the setback.
What
That's
setback?
allowed under footnote 8 in here.
No, I don't agree with that.
Well, that was,
You're saying it's allowed because you're saying, because they are undersized, they can go about 4 feet smaller than the 30 feet by law.
that is the premise that the building inspector used when he issued the permit for the proposed addition on the side of the house. That was his judgment at that time, saying that that was allowed based on the building permit file that I just showed you. All right?
So 26 is, what you're saying is the building envelope that's lawful according to the building inspector.
Yes, building inspector's
I just-
interpretation
I-
of footnote.
I just don't agree with it, only because of this.
Then that would have.
Their address is Whitcomb, it's not Taylor, and the bylaw clearly says the second street, it says the additional street, but that's okay. If that's the building's,
Okay. Now-
that's his prerogative.
Now-
So if 26 is it, their existing house sits back from the 26 some number, but they haven't shown what?
Yep.
And their new addition is going to bring the
Well, the exist-
existing steps
The
a
exi-
foot and a half closer to the street than they are. Have I got that right?
Right.
Okay,
But we don't know what that is.
but, so the building at that point is further back, with an existing porch of 4'6". That 4'6" presumably encroaches closer to the road than the 26 feet that shown on the plans. With steps coming off of that, also gets closer, and you have to count the steps. You
Well, no,
do
the
have
steps
to
are
get,
to the side or to the front?
They'll be to the front and the new
Okay.
one.
okay.
Right now, they're to the side.
Out to the side, so out to the front. So I still believe that the existing porch, the front end of the existing porch, is closer to the street, the front property line, than 26 feet. Thus, that is a nonconformity, and they are increasing the nonconformity by moving it a foot and a half closer with whatever steps.
You don't understand. I have no problem that it's an existing nonconformity. I have no problem that it's an increase to the existing nonconformity and that we do this by special permit. And frankly, I have no problem with the request. What I have a problem with is I don't see any plan that tells me what the new setback is going to
Okay.
be. And we need that in order to make this vote. So if somebody could map it out or sketch it out and figure it out and put it on this plan, I'm prepared to allow the board to vote on it tonight. But with every other applicant, we have required a detailed plan that shows what will be the new setback. I think you can do it. I think, I don't know if I have anybody in the room that can do it.
well-
I have someone in the room that said he would even help you. So what I'm going to do is continue you, take him, because he wants to get out of here anyway, and he's got a scale on him, and he will help you put it on the plan, and then we can take you and vote you afterwards. Yes. Okay, I'm not trying to be a wise guy, it just needs to be here.
And after all the looking, this one I have.
Yeah.
All the looking I did
Mr.
with
Cantino,
this,
how are you, sir?
take into consideration.
Yeah. Okay, so
Oh, sure, I think we have that.
we're just gonna continue you. Matt, you don't have to do it, no, we're just gonna continue them and take
Give it
yours.
to Michael,
Yeah.
he'll do it while
Table in
while
the
I,
back.
No, you're gonna
Give Michael the
present
scale.
and then stand with them for a minute, and we'll take them, we'll pick you up again toward the end, okay? So that hearing's continued for half an hour, 20 minutes. I'm going to open the hearing now of 7:45, continued hearing case of 847A, m and M Realty Trust for a special permit or variance from Section 173-10B1 to allow change, extension, or alteration to a pre-existing non-conforming dwelling at 20 Washington, that's you, 20 Washington Drive. Mr. Farnsworth, I'm going to ask you to chair this hearing. I am going to stand down because I have a financial interest in the outcome of the case. You need to appoint some alternates.
Okay. All right, at our last hearing, the voting members were myself, Mr. Yates, Mr. Cantino, Ms. Hollinger, and Mr. Saucier. Mrs. Hollinger is not here tonight, so in her place, Ellen, will you be the,
Sure.
okay. At the last hearing, Mr. Fields had said that, he, information he gave us did not coincide with a site plan that we had been given, because his latest site plan had not been distributed to us at that time. So we continued so that he could come up with whatever he proposes as the latest, and to be back to us, which we have received a site plan.
The full-size plan is in the folder. Yep, right there.
Okay.
Thank you for seeing us again.
All right, and this is dated 2/18/15. Now, one thing I do want to ask you, before we start,
Yes, sir.
that we also had a letter from you, or a statement from you, February 3rd, 2015,
Yes, sir.
all right, which outlined a lot of parameters and nonconformities and conformities.
Yes, sir.
That's what prompted us to
All the
say
mix-up.
that, the mix-up, okay, misunderstandings. All right, going back through that same letter and the newest plan, some of the numbers still don't jive. So I don't know if you have a more current updated
I did
statement?
not update that. We just updated the plan with the requests that you had made for us to.
Okay, because the numbers on here still not, still are some numbers which do not agree with numbers on here.
Right, that's the correct, the drawing. We've made the
Okay.
changes that you have asked for with the correct,
Yep. Yep.
on this one right here.
Okay, so for the board's information, the letter, statement that we have dated February 3rd, 2015.
Yeah.
There will be some changes to some of the numbers that are in here to agree with the latest site plan that we have been given for review. Okay, all that being said, Mr. Field,
Well,
you're,
thank you for taking the time to see me again. We have gone back to our engineer, had the design done to try and get it back further as far as we can. We removed the porch off the front. We have added the driveway on the side to accommodate a full-size vehicle off to the side of the car, off to the side of the dwelling, and we did the drawing.
So this is the drawing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's take a look at it. Thanks. Oh, so it's the same as this here?
okay,
Yeah, okay.
yep.
Anybody
Okay,
else want to see the full size? Open to any questions.
all right, what I have done is I took I like colored copies,
Yeah.
so I've outlined what was existing and what is proposed in the outline of the property, because this is actually a plan showing a budding property as well. All right, going back and, for this board, we need to understand that for any non-conformity that existed, that either increases or decreases, but still stays a non-conformity, it's a special permit. Any new non-conformity created, that's a variance, and we discussed that
Yes,
last
sir.
time.
I now understand.
Yep, and the application does so state for variance and non-special permit. All right. The board needs to go through and understand, and it has as findings, all the changes, what is conforming and what is not conforming. I'll run through it if you don't mind, Mr.
I
Field.
have no problem.
And correct me if anything is not correct. First of all, and I'd like to take this in sequence, just so that I don't miss something, and also too, so that, we don't get confused. All right. First of all, the lot area required is 40,000 square feet. This lot is only 6,000. That is non-conforming. This lot has been already established, and the proposed relocation of the building will not change that. It will still remain non-conforming. Right. Frontage required is 150 feet. This lot has 60 feet, non-conformity. That change, frontage will not change, will stay at 60 feet, still non-conformity. The front setback of the existing building, which is required to be 30 feet. The existing building is 60.9, It is now being relocated at 11.5 per the plan. And on yours, no, you had stated at 12 feet, but this plan refined a little bit more to 11.5.
Because of the overhang.
Because of the overhang, correct. Okay? All right. The side setback is required on both left and right side to be 15 feet. The original showed the left setback at 10.5 feet. That is going to 15 feet. It was a nonconformity, it is now becoming conforming, provided that it does not get closer than the 15 feet. Right setback was 21.1 feet. That was conforming. It is now being, per the plans, at 14.0 feet. That is creating a new nonconformity, which would require a variance. The rear, the front setback, for the front setback of 60.9 is now 11.5. That is a new nonconformity. That is a variance. The rear setback required to be 15 feet. The original was 15.9 feet. It is now becoming 55 feet. It was conforming, and it still is conforming. So what we have is the front setback and the right side setbacks of the relocated structure to be non-conforming. There's creating new nonconformities, therefore a variance. The left side setback going from non-conforming to conforming does not require anything. And the rear going from non-conforming to conforming, or from conforming to conforming doesn't require anything. So, in that regards, okay, two things. For the special permit, now let's deal with those separately for lack of confusion, if anything else. The special permit says that, okay, provision for two-car parking, and if you would explain the changes that you have made to this plan from what we saw before,
Yes,
in regards to parking.
What's that?
If you will explain what the changes you've made.
We made an additional parking that I believe Mr. Yates asked for. He was concerned with the parking with the garage only accommodating the two cars and not being able to, if the road was widened, to accommodate a car in the yard. We added an additional full-size parking off to the right-hand side of the structure, in addition to the garage.
Yeah, 10 feet wide and 20 feet deep, and, you know, that seems to be a major and a great improvement based on, you know, what we saw before.
I would agree.
Yeah. Okay, special permit, just finding that this is now more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing building. In regards to a variance, what, I know we covered it last time, but just to cover it again, what is the uniqueness of this lot compared to others in the zone or the neighborhood?
We've accommodated, we've taken down terrible structures with failed septic systems. We are putting up modest homes with new compliant Title V septic systems. We have accommodated all the septics in the rear to make them flow better and look a lot more presentable in the rear.
Okay. And what would be the hardship if you could not, get the variance for relocating the building to the front and to the street and to the right side?
The hardship?
Yes.
We'd be out an awful lot of money because we paid.
Other than, okay, let me.
The hardship is driven by the septic system.
Okay.
Title V.
Okay, a septic system that needs to be in the rear of the lot?
Without question.
And there needs to be a distance between the septic system and the reserve system? To
Correct.
the back of the house?
Each,
Okay.
yeah, you can see, to accommodate the Title V, inside the structure, we have a slab of 3 feet wide to gain the 20 feet for the reserve area.
Okay. All right. I'm going to read a statement from the building official, and then I'm going to ask for questions or comments from the board. All of the building official says is Washington Drive is a continuation of last month. All right, any questions? I'm going to ask for a question on the board, then I'll get to abutters in the audience. Jeff?
Well, since last meeting, we had a couple issues. One was that the plans didn't
Correct.
coordinate, which now they do. We have a building plans that are actually for this. We have, the coordinated, so we can get an accurate picture of what's going on. We asked for additional parking because of the variance setting it forward to mitigate a potential problem. And so basically, you've done what we asked for. You provided more parking, you provided drawings that we could understand and put together.
Thank you.
Mr. Cantino?
I've looked at the property, and I think they've done a great job with the situation that they have to deal with the small size of the lot. They've accommodated our request with the more parking. I can't imagine being able to do any more than they've done with what they've dealt with there. So I don't have a problem with what I'm seeing.
No, I've looked over at the sites. It's very challenging from the plan here. I think that they've done a great job with what they have to work with. And, it's kind of tight over there. But, there's lots of neighborhoods that are really, really nice and quaint, and there's lots of tight spaces. And I think that what they put up already looks well. I think it's going to be a good little, residential village down there. And so I think it's a positive.
Thank you very much.
Rod, any questions,
Nothing
comments?
to add.
Mark?
No, Jeff and John pretty much said what I was going to mention. I mean, the best thing is now we got real drawings to look at, which we didn't have before.
And the information all agrees.
Right.
Okay. Patrick?
I have no objection.
Anybody in the audience wish to ask a question or a comment on this petition? None, okay. All right. Then, is there any further discussion from the board? Motion to close, then.
Move to close the hearing.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor of closing the hearing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Decision will be made in the allotted amount of time.
Thank you very much, and it won't happen with the drawings ever again.
Guaranteed.
I will.
All right, I need that from the file. Okay.
You need to put it on the list.
Okay, page 25. I will reopen the hearing of the,
Bill, who are going to be, who's the fifth voting member on that?
Coleman and McGurn. Let's finish you up. Hearing number 849A, the continued hearing of Coleman and McGurn. They were kind enough to get somebody to help them to put the measurements on the plan for me, and I appreciate it very much.
Sorry about that.
So we have now
27 feet, actually.
27 feet to the actual building. We have 23 feet to the existing steps, and it will be 21.6 feet for the porch addition.
21.5 or 21 feet.
Okay. Anybody else want to see this? And we'll put this right into the file, if you don't mind. Any other questions on this? Is there anybody in the room that would like to speak to this application? So this is a change, extension, or alteration of a existing non-conforming structure, and it is extending the existing non-conformity. And Bill has identified what the non-conformities on the structure are, and they include
Lot size.
lot size,
And,
and do we know frontage, maybe? We don't know that, I imagine.
I think that was the only thing.
Frontage is okay. And so then the setback, the front setback. Those are the existing nonconformities. Okay, if nobody has any questions, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing. Alan Bell is moving to close the hearing. I don't think you can, you're not the voting alternate. No, Mark is.
Okay.
Oops.
Go there, John.
I'll vote to close the hearing.
Okay.
Or I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second?
Second.
Second by John
John.
Catino. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, anyone want to make a motion for the special permit?
I'd like to make a motion to grant a special permit from section 173-B, parentheses 1, to allow a porch no closer than 20 feet from the front lot line at 6 Wickham Ave. I put 20 feet in case she ran a little closer.
That's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, that's fine. Anyone want to add to that? Or do you want to reference the drawings, John?
Yeah, we could reference the drawings submitted by the applicant.
Dated,
I didn't
just
know
wrote
that. Let's see.
No date. No date on any of them.
well, let's date it, because this is the
June
one she
6th.
submitted
June
tonight.
6, 2001 says received.
Where's the little one I just wrote on?
Oh, here.
Here, there's no date on
Can
it.
we just put a date on that? Let's
So let's
reference
just put
this one.
March 19th.
319.
3/19/15. Okay, second that motion, please?
Second?
Bill seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being patient with me.
Here you go.
It's in there. Okay. You want to write that?
No, it'll be around for almost 2 weeks.
Who wants to write a special permit?
I don't think I should.
You don't think you should?
I'll have to buy you a tank of gas for the bike, sure.
Sure, do you want to do that?
Oh, wait, who's gonna write Washington?
How are we doing on the time?
Oh, okay,
That's why I just gave it to you.
okay,
I'll talk to you about it. That's why I hit it.
okay.
If you write all the minutes, I'll write the dates.
Okay. I'm going to call the 8 o'clock hearing and apologize to everybody for running over about
Excuse me, Sherry, who's writing that decision?
10 a.m.
Okay.
It's 8 o'clock, it's 8:30. I'm calling the 8 o'clock case number 850A of Arlene Martino for a special permit from section 17368 for conversion to a two-family dwelling at 94 Goldsmith Street. Welcome back.
Voting.
September or October.
Yeah, let me just assign my voting members, please. This is, let's see, Rod, I think, didn't have enough action tonight, okay? All right. Ms. Martino, present.
Oh, yeah, like I said, I saw you last September, October. Got your permission to build an in-law apartment. All the paperwork was presented and the building permit was approved. And then the building inspector brought up the issue of the egress into the house from the apartment. And it was going to have to go through a strange structure on the roof into a bedroom, a half door, and it just was not acceptable. So went down, Shelley pointed out to me that the house is actually grandfathered as a two-family dwelling. It's 1929. So I'm here tonight to get that designation changed from an in-law to a two-family. And this is the drawing I was asked to present that shows where the builder will be putting the firewall.
So,
Can we get Roland's comments
yeah,
in here before we go too far?
actually, what I'd like to do is have the applicant finish your presentation, and then we'll take the comments from the board, and then we'll take the comments from
I think
Roland.
this ought to come up before comments from the board. and they ask
Okay,
some
well, let's
questions.
take the applicant's presentation first. So, the applicant has submitted a drawing that shows a second floor plan it looks like a studio or in-law apartment will be a single room that attaches to the existing house, and she's got a circled area that she's proposing as a firewall. So I'll just pass that around. And what I want to do is a couple of housekeeping matters, please.
Date and an address on that.
Yeah, let's just do the housekeeping matters first. What I want to know first is, what year was the house built, and do we have any proof of that? Because I think we're going to require proof of when the house was built. And the zoning bylaw that she's referencing, 17368. The deed and the year built should have been submitted with the application. Conversion of dwellings is 17368, and it reads that the Board of Appeals may grant a special permit for the alteration and conversion of any dwelling in a residence district into a dwelling designed and intended for occupancy by not more than 2 families, provided the dwelling, the building, or structure was in existence prior to March 5th, 1951, and provided further that such building or structure so altered and converted, in the opinion of the Board of Appeals, will be in harmony with and conform to the character and type of residences generally prevalent in the immediate neighborhood. Bless you. Now, Bill calls to my attention that there's also comment from the building inspector. He writes, 94 Goldsmith, the applicant is seeking a 2-family special permit conversion pursuant to 17368. Currently, the applicant enjoys an accessory dwelling special permit and has begun to construct with a building permit. As a matter of policy, this office mandates a communicating door between the 2 units, thus distinguishing the accessory dwelling from a 2-family dwelling. The applicant wishes to eliminate the communicating door. Both the applicant and the builder understand that upon approval of a 2-family conversion, the building permit will need to be amended to reflect a 2-family dwelling, and the new second unit will be required to comply with the 8th edition building code for fire separation between dwelling units. No further comment.
So Sherry, according to the assessor's records, it says built in 1929.
Okay. So I'd like to hear from the board, but I have a problem, and let's hear what everybody else has to say first. Board members. Go.
All right. Part of the package, there was you submitted a statement to this board dated March 4, 2015. And in this, it's for clarification, this last fall you gave approval to me to build an in-law apartment. You're referring to that, to the special permit that we issued last October? All right, so that was the ZBA case number 841A of October 16, 2014. You said during the process of obtaining a building permit, found out that a local regulation required building a roof access hall with a doorway. Actually, the requirement is just a connecting doorway, and was it determined that with your proposal that the only place you could get this connecting doorway was through is you put a roof access hallway?
Yeah, directly into a bedroom.
Okay, but there was no other place to put a connecting doorway? Okay. You discovered that your house is 1929 house, built in 1920, is grandfathered. Actually, it's not grandfathered as a 2-family, but the 1929 house just meets the requirement, as Ms. Gould just said, that it was built prior to 1951. That, yes, the 2-family, conversion from single to 2-family does require this special permit.
Anyone else? Do we have the 841A file here? If you didn't bring it down, that's okay. I can see what she was doing over here. What is...
The builder did that, I didn't do that drawing. He's the one that circled where the firewall.
Yeah, I can see that. What is this mandate of a connecting door? Nothing in our bylaw says that. Is that a building code mandate?
That's,
Roland explained it as that in the definition of an accessory dwelling in the zoning bylaw, it refers to it as accessory living space
Yep.
in a single-family dwelling, and then he went to the building code definition of a single-family dwelling being rooms connected by communicating doors, so.
And that's if I can elaborate on that, that's a common theme with building departments, interpretation of the building code. It is, with an in-law unit, it is still a single-family dwelling under the state building code. There have been interpretations by the state building code, the BBRS, on that. So to keep it as a single-family dwelling rather than a two-family, and without having to put firewalls up, without having to do all kinds of other things under the state building code, that, the simplistic way of keeping it as a single-family is by having a connecting door from one unit to the other.
But that's not what our bylaw says. Our bylaw says,
Doesn't say make it a two-family dwelling under the state building code.
no, our bylaw says we can grant a special permit authorizing an accessory dwelling.
Yes, but
It
that,
doesn't say there needs to be a connecting door.
okay, then let
It
me.
doesn't say it has to be one dwelling. We could have
Well-
an accessory dwelling in a detached garage.
Let me clarify it, because I've been on the end of that argument for better than 20 years. The bylaw, very similar to other town bylaws, says, yes, you have an accessory dwelling as an extension of a dwelling unit. The zoning is not saying that you now have a two-family dwelling. The state building code dictates that premise.
I just am not following you. We've never, I've never seen anything come up about a connecting
Roland
door
has
because
always, in all of our
it's never been a
decisions.
problem, probably.
It has always been, as part of the building permit process and all the decisions that we have issued under the in-law special permit. I have talked to him about that prior to town meeting last year when the planning board was coming up with a conversion and everything else. We went through the whole scenario and I reviewed all the cases that we had issued. That was a common theme with the building department and the issues of building permits. So that has been continuous for the last 15 to 20 years.
I've never remembered that coming up in front of this board ever, and
What
we
happens
don't,
if you have a detached garage?
you can do it as a detached garage. What I'm concerned about is,
Then it's treated as a building permit, is a second building on the property, but not as a two-family dwelling.
But it's
Two
an
separate
in-law,
things,
it can still
two
be,
separate things under the state
it's
building
still
code.
an in-law apartment.
It can still be an in-law apartment, but it's a different thing under the state building code.
if it's an in-law apartment, if it was an in-law apartment, it's got one means of access and egress?
No, two.
Where's the second, if it was an
Oh,
in-law
okay.
apartment?
If it has one, then it has to, then the connecting between the existing building is your second means of egress.
Can she have a second means of egress not connecting?
I would have to see a plan on that to see how that would work. Because yes, for each individual dwelling unit by state building code, you are required to have two independent means of egress.
I don't like this result for this applicant for a number of reasons. It seems to me that she had alternatives of asking this board, or appealing the building inspector's denial. Yeah, and then one of your recourses would have been to appeal the denial of the building permit. We gave you an accessory dwelling permit. We gave it to you, never intending that you had to erect a firewall.
He didn't deny it.
Right. He didn't
He's just
deny
requesting the door be installed.
Or he will deny it.
Well,
I
it's
mean, it's-
already.
Exactly.
Well,
And
He would
that's the
deny,
problem.
he would deny an
but the proposal has to be the state's building code in order for him to issue a building permit.
That's my question. And so now what she's faced with is she has to come before us for a two-family conversion, which, by the way, wouldn't have even been her right to do if the building was more recent than 1950. So here's an applicant that's got a place to put an accessory dwelling. She satisfied all the requirements of functional dependency and need. And because her garage happens to be situated in such a way that the only connection is through a bedroom, she can't get an accessory dwelling, and not only has to come back before us, but now has to put a firewall between units.
But
That to me
that's
somehow
required.
doesn't seem fair.
Firewall is much easier to construct than that.
Than the
access
connecting
would
door,
be.
I understand.
Much
The-
easier.
Under state building code, that's only one requirement. There are other issues under state building code that have to be met, that distinguishes between a two-family dwelling and a single-family dwelling with accessory unit attached.
But so then I need to understand, if you have gone over with the building inspector, that that's the only thing you have to do is that firewall? You've got two means of egress for the second unit?
Well,
No,
a
I don't-
an egress window would be
An
sufficient.
egress window works.
No, an egress window,
Oh,
only
guess
if
if
it's a
it's a
basement. Only if it's a basement or a second floor, but you still need to get a second means. The egress window is not considered your second means of egress.
So she's going to get this this approval, go back to the building inspector, fully intending that all she's got to construct is a firewall, and he's going to say no building permit because there's no second means of egress, and she's back to square one.
Well, I wouldn't say that because, and I don't know directly, but I would presume that she's already had this conversation with the building official, and the building official has let her know what is required in order to make this a second dwelling unit.
All right, so
So-
let me pause.
Without
for
the
a
building
minute,
official
'cause I have a
here-
room full.
So,
Anybody want to be heard on this? Please. Identify yourself and your address for the record first.
Jack Schimmel, butter, 100 Colter Street. Obviously, she already has a permit. Has there been any changes in the construction permit with what she wants to do, number one? Who can live there? Does it have to be immediate family? Can she rent it out afterwards? What's gonna happen if she sells the house? Is it sold as a two-family, or does it revert back to single-family?
Those are very good questions, and those are some of the issues that I think are a little bothersome, however we decide. As an in-law apartment and an accessory dwelling, she has to have someone functionally dependent living there, and her sale of the property or the moving out of the functionally dependent individual terminates that accessory dwelling permit. So she can no longer rent it out or use it.
It could also be rented out to someone else with a disability or to someone who was a caretaker for me.
Yeah, for any
Yeah.
functional dependency
Right.
qualifies. But once there's no functional dependency, you can't rent it out.
Right.
Once we grant the two-family conversion, which you're probably entitled to under the bylaw, it's a lawful two-family, she can rent it to anyone, she can move and rent two sides to two different people, she can sell it as a two-family. Once we allow the conversion, it's a two-family, forever after, till she abandons it. Anyone else want to be heard? Yes.
I have a question.
Please identify yourself for the
Yeah,
record.
Phil Schmidt, a butter, live on Kimlock. Getting a little confused here in the sense that when the original permit was granted by you folks to have her do all this new construction, that it was for a family member, not a dependent person, but a family member. Now it's changed over to a dependent. So what's the difference?
Mr. Schmidt, the bylaw that we have reads, anyone who is functionally dependent. It has been interpreted mostly to be a family member, but it's accurate for the applicant to say, if she's elderly and needs a caregiver, the caregiver, there is a functional dependency. It doesn't have to be a related family member.
Also, if I'm a caretaker to someone
If you're a
functionally
caretaker
dependent
to an
who's
older
not a
person
family
who's
member.
living there, it's a functional dependency. Okay. Anyone else want to be heard? Are you here for this application? Because you've been here all night.
for the Moran one, but that's been canceled, I guess.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did announce it early.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm sorry, because we announced it early. I'm perplexed. I don't think we can, not grant it. She has a property that qualifies, and what she has to do to satisfy the building code isn't really our domain.
Right.
And she's back here applying for this two-family.
Actually, that's what I would have applied for last summer had I known that I
That you were
could
entitled
put
to
it
it.
into a two-family.
Yeah.
So just for I understand the whole two-family concept. So at one time, well, the building was built in 1929. Was it built as a two-family back then? Was it ever a two-family?
No.
So any building in town,
It predates 1951, can be made a two-family with this board's approval, provided we find, as it says in 63, that it's incompatible with the neighborhood. And there are two families on Goldsmith that is not incompatible with the neighborhood.
So it would, if there was a
63.
huge substantial addition that
68.
overwhelmed the existing structure to convert it to a two-family, we might decide that that wasn't the purpose of the bylaw. But in this case, it's a, second floor addition to a garage. Now, I can say, I have gone through this. I have a 1800 house that had been a two-family, but when I bought it, it was not a two-family. And many years ago, I went before the board to get approval to push it back into a two-family. I was granted it. But since then, I've actually gone back to putting it into a one-family. So it's not the case that, and actually, I would tell you, there was some disadvantages with having a two-family. Number one, well, it doesn't matter. I mean, it has to mainly to do with financial disadvantages, because your house will not be assessed as much as it otherwise would be if it stayed as a single family. But, which could be good for taxes, but it's bad for any type of refinancing or anything like that. But anyway, so I just want to, there's a lot of precedent for this, and houses are going back and forth all the time.
And I just want to satisfy the board that you have enough off-street parking for the 4 vehicles, because we had to determine that.
Yeah, you determined that.
And that was the
There's
accessory
plenty of
dwelling.
parking, yeah.
That's the only copy.
Anyone else? Bill?
This plan that you submitted, this is the, what are you going to
This is
convert?
what I gave you today.
That, yeah, that's what you're going to convert to be the second-family dwelling?
Yes.
Second dwelling unit?
This is where it connects to the house, and that's where the,
Okay.
he said the firewall is needed.
And it shows one means of egress?
Right.
Have you talked to the building, did the building official seen this? And does he say anything about having a second means of egress?
No, absolutely not.
this is on the second floor.
The door going into the other
Is that even a fire
No,
escape?
no.
It would be.
The only comment I want to make, and I agree with Sherry that under 17368 conversion, all you have to do is have that, prove the house was built prior to 1951, and that the board, by special permit, finds that it will be in harmony with and conform to the character and type of residence generally prevalent in the immediate neighborhood. That's the jurisdiction of the board. Beyond that, it's a building permit, building code issue. And, the difference between an accessory dwelling as part of a single-family dwelling and a two-family dwelling, there are multiple building code issues. That's why I know that Roland, had his comments, and all that will be addressed to the building official at the time of building permit issuance, and then construction and final certificate of occupancy being issued. Whether it's number of egresses, whether it's smoke detector, fire alarm system, firewalls, separation, whatever, that's all building codes related. And I think that, yes, it does meet the criteria for the granting of this request.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Want to speak up?
Yeah.
Pat?
This two-family now, what's the entrance to it? The person's?
Is that an exterior staircase?
Yeah, exterior stairway and outside the garage.
If not, I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close?
Second?
Second.
All those in favor signify, Rod, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Hearing's closed. Do we have any deliberation?
Can we require a second egress?
Nope,
We can't, the
You could-
building code has to.
it will be part of the building.
He's got to.
Yeah, right, yeah, I mean, that's, That's code.
It's going to be mandated by the building code.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, then the building code is unique in Massachusetts.
Entertain a motion
What is the motion, actually?
to allow conversion, to grant a special permit to convert under 17368,
Two-family.
two-family.
Yep.
Yeah.
With the finding that we'll be in harmony.
Yeah. So who wants to make the motion? Go ahead.
Oh, I thought Alan was making the motion.
No, I can't vote, voting on this one.
Oh.
Just
I make the motion that we grant a special permit to 94 Goldsmith Street to convert from a single-family to a two-family dwelling based on the zoning bylaw, section 17368.
Second.
Who made a second?
Second from
Right,
Rod,
okay.
all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Shelley, just give me the year again, built 1921 or 29?
29, according to
1929.
the assessors.
Because I'll probably end up writing it, thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. I need that drawing in the file. Do you need it?
I don't think so.
You know what, it'll be here, and Shelley can copy it for you. I just need it in the file. Can I have that back, Patrick? Patrick?
We haven't done field.
Have that back, please. You guys have another hearing to vote on.
We have a voter on
Yes,
it.
we have to vote on that field.
We have a voter on
Just
it.
close the
Right,
field here,
right.
we didn't vote on it.
Yeah, I'm going to. While you do that, a couple of other housekeeping matters. Are we drinking? That's my housekeeping
For
matter.
the record.
Be careful, you're on tape.
I forgot.
Yeah, this looks like.
Why does everybody have
Where's
hand?
everybody? We got the voters here, we got enough people to vote here?
No.
Yeah, I
Actually,
counted.
on this last one,
What?
we're just,
You gotta wait until they come back. Sorry.
okay, I'm not,
Oh,
well,
okay.
it's already voted for and
Oh, right,
everything,
right,
yeah.
all right, go ahead.
I'm just, I mean, I wasn't a voting member, so I didn't
Right.
push, but, you know, Sherry sort of alluded to it. You know, we didn't have a deed to prove that it was built before that. We didn't have, I mean, the drawings she provided just were plan views, just to sort of comply with, gee, it's in keeping with the neighborhood, it would have been nice to have a street view.
Well,
Just, you know, to see how big it is over the garage, stuff like that. I mean, you can sort of tell from this, but just we give so many other people a hard time about, you know, everything crossing the Ts and dotting the Is. and
you're
this
right,
is sort of
you're
like-
right. Part of the instructions, or any application, submit a deed to show that you are the owner of the property, and if not. So I believe that was done in the original special permit back in October. But you're
And
right.
having a street view or more definitive drawings than this, just, you know. I mean, obviously, it's just a studio, so it's not that big a deal, but it's like anything else. The next person comes along and
Okay, getting back to 20 Washington Street. There are two things before us. One is a variance, one is a special permit.
Now, what is the nature of the special permit? We've identified the right and front setback for the variance, so what would be the special permit?
The special permit is for okay, because of the,
Because of the lot size?
no.
When you went through it, I just didn't catch what the special permit was. Maybe it's just a variance.
Yeah, based on recent court decisions and everything else, yes. It's just a variance. So therefore, because we already closed the hearing, then when we get to the special permit, we'd have to make a determination that a special permit is not required.
Okay.
So, yeah, because of what he's doing is he's creating two
I mean, if
new
he had
nonconformities
shifted it over 6 inches,
on the left side.
yeah, it would
Which is
have
what
been
he
a special
originally asked
permit.
for.
Yeah,
Yeah, until he came through with the latest one, and then he shifted just enough so we didn't need it. So, yeah, there was nothing that was non-conforming that is still non-conforming. Okay? Good point.
Who are the voting alternates?
Pardon?
Who are the voting alternates?
Mark. And Alan.
Okay, voting is myself, John, Jeff, Alan, and Mark. Okay, do we have any further discussion on the special permit?
You mean on the variance?
What was the
Let's deal with the
again?
special permit, and then we'll go to the,
Septic conditioning.
you want to restate that, Jeff?
That a special permit is not required?
Make a motion,
I move that a special permit is not required
because?
because there is no extension or alteration of a pre-existing nonconformity.
Okay.
Unless you make the argument that just locating the house, a structure, period, requires a special permit.
No.
Okay.
That's the latest case law and the latest determinations. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
John? Okay, so what it is that there's a motion that a special permit is not required because there are no nonconformities that are being increased upon. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor of the motion as stated signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now, grant of the variance. Now, the two variances, one for the house being moved closer to the street to 15.5 feet from the front property line, and the right side at 14.4 feet. 30 feet required at the front and 15 required at the right side. Anybody want to make a motion?
So it's for two non-conformings, right? The front and the right side.
Yes. Yep, it can be in the same motion.
I move that we grant the variance for 849A, oh, no, I'm sorry, that's not the one, for 847A,
At
M&M Realty
20
Trust,
Washington Street.
20 Washington Street,
Yep,
to
go ahead.
the variance for the purpose of the new nonconformities on the right side of the property and on the front of the property, not to exceed, not to be any less than 11 feet from the property in
Okay.
front.
11
And
feet.
no less than, I think it was 14 on the right side,
Let's go 13.6 and give them a little leeway.
13.6.
13.6 or 13 and a half?
13.6. 13.6 inches.
11 foot in the front and 13,
Yep. 0.6 inches.
13 and 6
13
inches.
feet, 6
6
inches.
inches.
6 inches.
Well,
13.5.
everything is decimal on the
Okay,
drawing.
11.0 and
13.5.
Consistency of.
11.0 feet and 13.5 feet, okay.
Okay, do we want to put a condition that there's a full-size parking space to the side of the dwelling?
Well, if you refer to the drawing, you should.
We'll refer to the,
Specified in the plans submitted.
yep,
I don't have the
Well,
full copy with
Di-
I mean, we had a lot of discussion about that, that's why I
Yes,
wanted to
yes,
make
yeah,
it a
you're right.
condition.
Let's refer to the site plan.
site plan with revision number 2 dated 2/18/15. Okay, do we have a
And you
second?
think that's sufficient, because, I mean, that is one of the big deals. They cannot park a car in front of the driveway
Well, the
with
other,
that kind of setback, so.
Well,
to me, it should be a
they
condition.
actually can because of the location of the street.
No, we have.
But if the street is widened,
Yeah.
then they wouldn't. But they have a two-car garage and an additional spot, so that's,
but also too, at 11.5 feet to the property line, another 6 feet out, that's very tight for anybody park in front of the garage. And for people driving on the actual pavement or the street. You know, so that by having this space on the side, and somebody, if they don't want to park right out the garage, they can park beside it and be farther up back so it doesn't create a traffic problem at the street. Anything else on the motion? Do we hear a second?
I'll second that.
Who's second, Mark?
Mark. Okay, I have a motion made and seconded to, and let me restate it and correct me if I'm missing anything, to grant variances from the dimensional regulations under pursuant to section 173-27 and the intensity of use schedule to 20 Washington Street to reduce the required 30-foot front setback to 11.0 feet and to reduce the required 15-foot right setback to 13.5 feet. As per the site plan submitted with the latest revision date number 2, dated 2/18/15.
It does say Washington Drive on the,
Okay, Washington Drive, sorry. Yep, you're right, Washington Drive. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Done.
The last thing on the agenda is, we have been working on an amendment to the zoning bylaw to document this new case law that says if you are changing, extending, or altering a pre-existing non-conforming structure, do it by special permit from this board if the change, extension, or alteration extends an existing nonconformity. The new case law says, however, that if you're changing, extending, or altering a structure so that you make a new nonconformity on a different side, then it should be by variance. And so we appointed a subcommittee last week to work on this. Patrick, Bill, and I have been working on it, and we submitted a proposal based on a draft of a bylaw out of Westford that I thought had some easier-to-follow language than we've been using. Of course, as all bylaws go, as I read and reread it, it's becoming more and more complicated to me. But basically, it was passed out to you, and it says, with a few modifications, the new zoning bylaw will now read, alteration of nonconforming structures with respect to an existing nonconformity. If you're changing, reconstructing, extending, and we added altering,
Alteration. Reconstruction.
reconstruction, extension, alteration, or change, take out the word structural, of a pre-existing nonconforming structure that extends or increases the existing nonconformity, that can be done by a special permit, provided we determine that it's not more substantially detrimental than the existing nonconforming structure to the neighborhood. The second situation is when you have alteration of a nonconforming structure with respect to a new nonconformity. And that is now going to read, for any reconstruction, extension, alteration, or change, again, taking out the word structural, of a nonconforming structure that involves the creation of a new nonconformity, such new nonconformity shall require the issuance of a variance from the Board of Appeals, not a special permit. Then there's a new section 3 to read. If it's an alteration of a nonconforming use, that's different than a structure. That would be something similar to, I don't know, extending maybe
You have a lot of
commercial use in a
residential
residential
use
zone.
and non-residential zones.
Yeah.
And businesses in non-business zones.
Right. So the Board of Appeals may, by special permit, allow the change, extension, or alteration of a pre-existing non-conforming use where it determines that the proposed modification will not be substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming use to the neighborhood. The last sentence of that paragraph says, once changed to a non-conforming use,
Not once changed to
To conforming.
I'm sorry, once changed to a conforming use, no structure or land shall be permitted to revert to a non-conforming use.
Yeah, and that doesn't make sense to me.
Rod points out that it doesn't make sense to him, so why,
But
Rod?
that's in the existing bylaw.
Yeah, well,
Because you're not changing from a non-conforming to a conforming use, you're granting a special permit for it. So what changed? What changed to a conforming use?
I think what it means is if you've changed either the use or the structure to conform it some way, sometime, somehow, you can't go back. I think that's what it means. But I think it's
Okay, then it'd be-
misplaced in that
yeah,
paragraph,
yeah.
and I agree with your language. You're better at language, I think, than many. So I think you're correct, it doesn't go in this paragraph. I think it refers to 1, 2, and 3, and needs to be a new paragraph.
That could be.
You read it that
would
way.
make a little more sense.
Read it that way and see if you agree.
Yeah, that would make sense. Except, yeah, if any non-conforming structure or use is changed to a conforming use, then, something like that.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Does everybody follow what he's saying?
no. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, first of all, to refer to, not to, once changed to a conforming use, no structure or land, if it's no structure or land, it's modifying
Oh, yeah,
1,
yeah,
2,
yeah,
and
yeah,
3.
okay.
So if it means what I think
Yeah.
it means,
Yeah.
and what you just said,
Yeah.
if you ever change a non-conforming structure or a use to conform it, you can't go back again. I think that's what it means
Yeah.
to say, and it should be a new
It
paragraph.
should be a new number.
After 3, before 4.
Yes, just a paragraph all by itself, because it modifies all 3 of those
Yeah.
things.
So but I read this just to refer to use, but you think it should apply to the change of a building's dimension or
Any non-conformity.
any nonconformity, not just a nonconforming use?
Yeah, but you know something, then it shouldn't say once changed to a non-conforming use.
Once changed to a conforming use.
I mean, once changed to a,
Yeah,
Well, because you're using land and structure as a use,
well,
but I mean, I could see it.
no, if they change, if they want to come and change it back, then it becomes a variance.
yeah.
What we're saying is, if you take,
Oh, I see,
this
so-
Matfield might be a case. He's taken down a structure, he's putting up a new structure that meets all the dimensional setbacks. He's no longer a non-conforming structure. Yes, he is, though, because the law
Oh,
says
he's definitely
so.
not
Granted two
conforming.
variances,
Yeah.
now
This
it's
is just
conforming.
saying- this
I don't
is-
like the sentence.
This is just
No,
saying, this is just saying a special
In-
permit couldn't
And
be
I'm not
issued.
sure I agree with it, because I can see a situation where somebody may not have a setback, so they buy a little piece of land, but then, and they become conforming, but then a couple years down the road, they want to put in a garage that might infringe on the side setback.
But
They're
they
not
need a
not
variance.
entitled to come back and request a variance?
No, they can come for a variance, they
This says
can't come back.
This,
It's not permitted, so the
This
variance
is-
would be different.
well, okay, permitted, without a variance.
Yeah.
without-
So let's
Okay.
do this for a minute. Go to our existing 17310. Was that sentence already in there?
Yeah.
Yes, it was under one, under this.
Change the essential alteration. Once changed to a non-conforming use, it should say, that the use should not be permitted to revert to non-conforming.
Yeah, that's the thing that,
Structure or land should be able to.
because I read it as just applying to a use, it's not a
What's in
building
that
or-
paragraph?
It's
that doesn't
clearly
sound
a
like it should be.
drafting error in our existing bylaw, because number 1 refers to structures or uses, and then down here it says only use. I don't know if the sentence is necessary. Let's see what Westford did.
Well, it is basically understood in the case law again, it says once you convert to a conforming use, you cannot convert back unless you get a variance. And a lot of towns put in there that once you convert a non-conforming use to a conforming use on a piece of property,
You can't go back.
people want to go back to get a variance, but if it's silent in the bylaw, boards may have a tendency to grant a variance.
But-
If it's written into the bylaw, then board says, oh, well, no, we can't grant the variance.
No, but our board is saying that we might want to be silent on it, we might want to let someone come back.
Yep.
If a use is abandoned for more than 2 years, which we have in here,
Well-
a non-conforming use which has been abandoned or discontinued for 2 years or changed to a conforming use shall not be reestablished, and any future use shall conform. Number 3 says what this sentence intended to say. I think we can take the sentence out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
So I apologize that you gave Keith a premature approval, but that sentence
I
should just
told
come
him I
out.
would send the final once the board
Yeah.
made the motion, so.
And-
Does that give the opportunity for somebody to come in for a variance under the current language there?
Yes,
Says
can
will
always
not be
come in
real
for a
estate
variance.
in any future
they
use.
can always come for variance. We can say, no, it's been abandoned, but they can always come for variance.
I mean, if they want to, because essentially, if you go for a variance for a use or anything, you're non-conforming. I mean, that's why you're going for a variance. So we really, I
And a
agree with you.
use variance is much more difficult to get than a dimensional variance,
Oh, yeah.
by its nature.
No, I know,
One would hope, after
after,
the history.
I'm not going to say that on the tape.
No.
Okay.
No, use variances, we've talked about this. Use variances are another tool to use, and they come in, but they should be sparingly used. They come in handy on occasion, but they should be sparingly used. We've had this discussion a lot. But I think if that sentence comes out, it doesn't change the impact of the zoning bylaw amendment. We preserve, the intent is that once a use has been abandoned, discontinued for a period of 2 years, you can't go back. And the same thing with restoration. If it's a building or a structure that was destroyed, it can be reconstructed within 2 years after that. It's got to comply with the chapter.
2 years isn't enough.
I know.
In the new regulations, and basically what Washington Drive and those others have done, it's not really restoration, but boards and towns are allowing people to tear down old dilapidated structure, relocate and build something better and it's more suited to the neighborhood. All right, I think we need a motion on this by the board to,
Yes, we need a formal motion to, excuse me. I did put the cart before the horse because the warrant time was running out, and so I presented to the planning board the intent of this board to vote this tonight so that they could have an informal discussion at the planning board, so as soon as we sent this off, they would be in time to notice it for the hearings that are necessary to get it on this year's warrant. So I did put the cart before the horse only in that respect, so we have to vote this formally for them to now get it before town council and on the warrant. Bill?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I make the motion that we approve the amended version of the draft warrant article for non-conforming structures that's dated March 12, 2015, to go to the planning board for
Hearings.
hearing and to be put on the town meeting warrant
Warrant for May.
for the annual town meeting this year.
Second?
a second.
Oh, I need a fifth voting
Yep.
member for the bylaw amendment, Mark.
Sure.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. I have one more item. It's not an agenda item, but
Do we need the-
congratulations are in order
Do we
to
need?
Michelle Cobley, who has been approved for a new title and a new pay grade and a new responsibility up in the department that starts a succession plan for her to start taking the necessary courses and everything to be in line for assistant building inspector and ultimately building inspector as Roland retires, if it's meant to be. And so congratulations, Shelley, for
Thank you.
earning that distinction.
Thank you for all your support and hard work in getting
deserve
that
it.
accomplished.
You gonna stay?
Yes.
Jeff, you want to flip the switch?
You're gonna succeed?
Oh, wait a minute.
Roland?
Motion to close.